Fear and greed run through the wire. Candles climb and then expire. Our edges cut from deep profile, sharp and clean by every buyer. He conquers the markets, he turns water into wine. His timing flows where chaos turns divine. Cut sharp enough to time the sign. Yeah, this man's no common trader. He commands the market's numbers. We call him Chef Bailey. The market bends beneath his flame. Fear and greed run through the wire. Candles climb and then expire. Our edges cut from deep profile, sharp and clean by every buyer. Markets move, they twist and swing. Every tick can burn or blink. Ryan keeps calm, he trusts his thing. The charts tell him everything. But when T1 makes ding, 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 the futures spread their hidden wing. And he is ready for anything. Vic's still looking like a restless king.
Ready to stop guessing and start growing as a trader? Welcome to Vici Trading Solutions, a community built by real traders for serious learners. We don't just post trades, we teach the why behind every move. With a full education section and daily breakdowns, you'll start seeing the market like a pro. You won't be trading alone. Inside the Vici Discord, you're surrounded by committed traders, from futures pros to rising crypto specialists, all learning and winning together. Gain first access to our exclusive indicators, powerful tools used daily by hundreds across TradingView and beyond. These aren't gimmicks, they're built to sharpen your edge. Each morning, our founder posts a full trading plan for the S&P 500 or NASDAQ and calls out the levels he's watching live. No fluff, just clarity. Education, tools, community. Whether you trade futures, stock, or crypto, Vici gives you the foundation and firepower to grow. Join Vici, trade smarter, conquer the markets.
What's up, my good people? How we doing? Welcome. Happy Thursday. Little post FOMC doldrums today. Came down pretty good in the overnight session. Woke up and we were actually opened up about 50 points lower today than where we started, and kind of just based out, which was kind of wild. This is rollover, guys. I've said it 100 times before. By the way, what's up, Raj? What's up, Costas? Guys, rollover is the worst time to trade. If you guys are indices traders, do yourself a favor and take a week off. I mean, call it a forced vacation every 3 months. I mean, every 3 months we have a rollover for a week, gives you a chance to kind of cool out. I really have taken it super easy this week. I've only taken select trades. It's because I hate rollover. Anybody that knows me probably gets tired of hearing it. It's absolutely the worst. The volume's all screwed up. The levels are all funky. And we're going to talk about that today, actually. So, we had some levels that were played on the last contract that, of course, I called out this morning and they played again. I couldn't believe it. But even with that being said, they all lined up with SPX and SPY. So it all made sense. But even with that being said, I just hate rollover. So, guys, let me tell you something right now. If you're new to trading and you can't figure out why you're having a tough week, this is it. Right. So this is not kind to new traders. This is not kind to traders, period. I had some guys in the room that were not guys. One guy in particular, he was a little frustrated because he's had a very tough week. He's on a funded account and he's just like, I just can't get it. I'm like, dude, you picked the worst week to try to push your luck, right? Like, guys, you have to understand when your opportunities are. The thing is we can make enough money in trading in 1 or 2 days. It's more than some people make an entire week, right? And even 1 day for that matter. So it's just be selective. Nobody's forcing you to take a trade. right? So it's your own doing. If you feel like you have to do something, just be patient, sit on your hands. I say it all the time. It's the end of my slogan. Stay calm, be patient. A trade will come. Together we'll conquer the markets. I'm telling you, the majority of this job is sitting on your hands and waiting for the trade to come to you. And when you guys figure that out, then you'll start making some serious money. So speaking of, I was short yesterday at the close. We talked about this. We talked about how I had the 660 puts. I didn't plan on any type showing any of this, but maybe we'll kind of go through a little bit of this stuff at the end of the day, kind of get an idea of what I'm thinking long term. I got just a few slides for you guys. I've actually been working on some cool stuff. I'm getting ready to start doing for all the subscribers and really non-subscribers as well. Once a month, unless it gets to the point where people want to do it more, once a month, I'm going to start doing a webinar for people on how to trade the trade plan. It'll be a Q&A. Everybody can come in. They can ask any questions they want. Stops, how do you find the levels, whatever you want to do. I don't give a shit. Just come in, ask questions, whatever, as long as it helps you guys become better traders and, to actually use the trade plan better. I mean, that's the whole point of these post-market breakdowns, is to kind of show you how the levels are playing, what I'm doing, what my psychology is behind the levels, but also just to show you that, these plans are, put out way in advance, guys. I don't know if, these are done before the market opens, yet the plans seem to always play perfect. So, but some people just don't have the confidence to really, trade it. So I want to make sure that everybody feels good. And I think one time a month, at least for now, I'm going to start a webinar and have everybody join. And then we'll just, we'll figure out where everybody's pain points are and go from there, because I have a lot of subscribers now, a lot. And I get a lot of thanks, but I have a few small portion of people, and that's just how it's going to be. As everybody knows, 90% of traders fail. I mean, we can't help it. That's just the math. But I still feel for those 90% or for those 10% or 90%, whatever you want to say. And, I want to help as much as I can. So, I went through a very difficult time when I was learning to become profitable, and it was painful, and I didn't like it at all. And so that's one reason why I do what I do here, is to kind of help you guys out, because, it makes me feel good to help you guys win. So before we get started, let's just start with this. You guys make sure you follow me across all the socials, Ryan Bailey Edge, across YouTube, Substack, X, and TradingView. You guys know where to find me. Putting out the goods. I put out some awesome data. Always try to put out the hits for you guys, let you guys know what I'm thinking. There's no fluff here, guys. You're not going to find any shit posting. I don't even know how to do that. I just don't understand it. I post such good quality data. Nobody likes it. I could post a picture of me on a toilet and I'll get 100 likes. I don't understand what the social media has done to people's brains, but if you're in it for real data, real good stuff, come follow me, come check me out. Make sure you retweet it and like. I would really appreciate it. Get that out there for other people as well, because it's super important, because I don't play around. I don't have time to play on Twitter, right? So if I post something, it's going to be something valuable and something that you guys need to pay attention to. So make sure you like, retweet, and follow. I definitely want to get the word out, and you should want to get it out too, because again, we're all here to help people. So here's the deal. We're just going to kick it off, and we're going to get right into it today. So let's see, where do I want to start this? Well, first off, before I do this, actually, you know what? Where did I have this in the stream of things? Let's see here. Hang on one second. Okay, it looks like I already have it in sequence here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Obviously, we had massive fallout yesterday from the hawkish Fed. They're talking about how they were not going to lower rates yesterday. We know that. They also talked about how they were only going to lower rates one time this year. The market had priced in 2, maybe even 3 rate lowers, or whatever you want to call it, rate reductions. And they pretty much poo-pooed on that. So that was a big deal. The market has been yearning for a interest rate cut, and the Fed doesn't think it's a good idea. And I can't say I argue with them. I mean, the prices are crazy. Inflation is crazy. It's still not balanced out. I know there's a lot of pressure from the administration to get this done, but it doesn't necessarily make it the right thing to do. So with that being said, we have breaking down the 68.8150 daily suppression pivot. Very important, guys. That was the dailies that we're going to talk about that were our overhead. And then our VIX 2470 monthly level. We've talked about this VIX level till we're blue in the face. I won't talk about it anymore until we get to that section. So we're currently being suppressed on the daily levels of 66, 81, and 85. They held us down all night, which I'm going to show you here soon, and are continuing to push the lows, even at the time of this writing. We've talked about this in the post-market breakdown, and I've been leaning short for weeks. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone, and I'm still not convinced we're not done coming down. But I have some data that may make me think otherwise, and I'll show you guys here shortly. So right here, I talked about this with you guys yesterday. If you cannot make a new high and you cannot gain support, you must make a new low in order to find new buyers. Well, we got a nice little pop off the lows today, and we actually swept a cash session level, which I'll show you. And so we'll see what happens. Technically, we had the sweep, but again, there's so much rollover bullshit right here that it's hard for me to make an accurate call. I hate rollover. So, I have to default to SPX and SPY otherwise. So, and this is what I talked about before. Well, first off, we also know that, every pop is sellable until proven otherwise. You guys know I've just been selling everything I get an opportunity to sell. I mean, they had me programmed to buy for so long. It's taken super long time for my process to flip short, and now they're struggling to get flipped back long. So I'm just going to keep smacking this shit until my process tells me otherwise. So here's what I was talking about before. Some levels below us are technically untested on the new contract, but we're tested on the prior contract. I will note these distinctions as we go through the plan, which I did talk about for sure. It's interesting. There's actually a gentleman in our room, TML. He's always putting up points. He's back in the group doing our thing, and he noticed one of the levels too today, which I'll talk about. So as usual, the daily, weekly, or 4-hour time frame hasn't gained, despite multiple opportunities. They had an opportunity just 2 days ago, and then we had this big daily suppression zone. So we were going to keep an eye on VIX at the 2470. We're going to keep an eye on those dailies that we talked about, and that was that. So here's the other thing I wanted to show you guys. Rollover is coming to a tail as usual. It is Thursday. We only have 500,000 contracts left on March. We now have 1.8 million today on June, which was plenty. That is plenty. That is, in my opinion, that's done. We roughly have about 2 million contracts on average. So we're almost there. Tomorrow should be damn near a full roll. So that's good for those of you guys who use order flow and anything like that. Have a tough time getting a good read. Some of our algorithms that we've been working on are order flow based for triggers, and rollover is not kind to them. So we just don't run them. And, again, like I said, take a week off. It's not the end of the world. So here you go. Here's the next thing. So we talked about SPX right out the gate. So this was interesting. This is the pre-market picture. We were basically right here at the 66.17. Then we got the 66.02. And I talk about these levels right here. Here's the daily at 66.17. And more importantly, right, let's just skip to the meat of this whole thing. More importantly, the daily weekly combo at 66.02.99, let's call it 62.03. I do anticipate this area to get a reaction, but there is a good chance that we could gap below it at the open. If we gap below it, this 66.03 combo, expect increased suppression, as this was our major area of support, pushing us up towards this other higher weekly area, right? Ultimately targeting the weekly leg low. All right, so this is our level right here. As you can see, this is very important. And then this is the 66.52 that I was talking about, that if we were to stay below this 66.03, it would push us towards the 65.85 and the 65.52. Well, that's what we got right here. 65.52, 65.58, sorry, is right above it, just a little bit of a hair. It's a smaller time frame, which you'll soon see right now. So this was pretty interesting. Here is the VIX. Here's an aftershot, guys. So 58 is off the chart, but it actually played 58 to the tick. I didn't have it here, but here's 52, got super close. 58 played to the tick, unbelievable. And then here we go again with the 66.02, guys. Look at this freaking daily combo. I said if we gap underneath it, this thing will cause suppression. And look, we smacked off of it perfectly, not once, but twice. Really sitting us down pretty far. I mean, these were not small hits, guys. This is 66.02 to 70, let's call it 72. This is basically, set 30 points. And here's another one from 02 all the way down to 72. So again, we had 30-point bangers twice in a row off of our big SPX level. And again, that's why I said we kind of had to default to SPX with rollover. We actually didn't encounter any structural resistance on ES. I was watching SPX for this very reason. So that's how it worked out. And let's go ahead and check this out. So we got, here we go. Here is the VIX analysis. Here's the 2470. Now I went ahead and just took a picture of the way it looked after the fact. We were here pre-market. And I basically just let everybody know, as long as we're over 2470, we've talked about this, we're going to have massive amounts of suppression, right? And then we also have the reclaim down here, the 2343 weekly that we pushed up yesterday. So really, this was our big bub below spot for VIX, and it has been. As long as we stay above it, we're going to have an increased headwind in price when we continue to suppress. However, if we push below the 2470, which we clearly did today, as you guys know, we popped hard at the end of the day, we still have our 2343 weekly, which I would expect for a test if we're to come down to it. And you can see we got very close and popped all the way back up here. It almost paid, it looks like about $1.50, which is pretty big, which actually had to do with the end of day short, which I'll show you when we get there. So very interesting. Speaking of my short, this was from yesterday. We can actually pull up the SPY chart. I bought these yesterday for $1.45. I was able to get out of them at $5.78 today. Here was my 660 puts. Expiration for today, 578 is where I got out, and made 400% on these things yesterday, which is pretty good considering, I bought them pre-FOMC and turned my computer off. So I'm pretty happy about that. Called this out for the room. We talked about in the post-market breakdown, and it was certainly worth the hold here, as this was a monster gap up in the overnight session. So had a good read on that. Super duper happy about that. That really kind of made my day today. And I'll just show you what I'm looking at here. So check this out. So a lot of reasons I took profits down there on that spike. I had a spot here that I was watching at 66.55. And then we had some stuff also on SPX, which is the low I showed you at 50. What was it? What was it, 58 or 52? Or was that? It was 52. And then we had the 58. Let me just go ahead and mark this. What level is that? It's 57.82. It's 58. Insane. Fucking crazy shit. This process is nuts. So anyways, with that being said, I had this level down here that I was interested in, and we were well in the money underneath the 6660s. I'm looking at SPX, I'm looking at SPY, I'm looking at ES. And so I will go ahead and show you on ES something that actually was a little tricky today. And this is what I was talking about in the intro when I said that we have, and I'll just pull it back up just to kind of resurface this. If you guys recall, I said right here, go ahead and hide myself. We have some levels below that are technically untested on the new contract, but they're tested on the prior contract. I'll note these distinctions as we go through the plan. Well, this is one of them right here. Guys, very interesting. This is the 66.1125. This level played perfectly to the tick last week before rollover. It was the low last week too. I did not anticipate this level to play again. I put it in the plan, and you can even see right here, we talk about it, the 18 put wall, the 11 4-hour. It was played on the last contract, remains untested on the new contract. I would particularly not look for a long here, right, due to rollover data. But it does go in combination with the put wall. If you were looking for a long, just wait for it to get back above the 66.18 and ultimately above the 27 weekly and 33.25 for confirmation. It did all those things, okay, and then it will push higher. But again, I was not ready to engage this aggressively, but you could see we clearly came down. Here was our put wall. Here was the 11, and we just cruised up from that. That was the low of the day, and I was a little dumbfounded. I'm not going to lie. I was a little dumbfounded. I didn't expect it to play. I didn't take the long. Made plenty of money shorting today, so that's fine. My process told me not to long, which is okay. As long as money is made, it doesn't really matter. But I was a little shocked to see a hold. I'll be honest. I was shocked. So this was another reason why I got out of the puts when I got out of the puts. So I had SPX, I had SPY. They were all coming into areas that I was interested in. And we had ES holding down here. So it was time to get out. I was up 400%. I really wanted to hold some, but I don't know if it's going to work out. So we'll see what's up. So here we go. So guys, as usual, this is the 40. That's not what I want. Here we go. Let's do this one first. So the first short we had was when we came off the 66.11, because we had no upside structure, guys. You know, I'm watching SPX like a hawk, right? This is our first touch of the 66.02. Telling everybody to watch SPX above or below the 66.02, 03, whatever you want to call it, for your major context today. I mean, look at that touch. Just unfreaking believable. Played perfect. Obviously, I got short on ES, just one contract, because I wasn't real keen on getting super short with no structural context from ES. I like it when they mesh. I will take an SPX trade, but I usually don't lay into it unless I have some levels, right? And so there you go. Paid 10 points. Very happy about that right off the rip. So, you know, got my next fade after I made my money from my puts which was awesome. And it was right from the trade plan with SPX, just, leaning to that side of things. Right. And then here was the next one. Actually, let's just go ahead and talk about this. So I called this out for the room. I actually called this out for a couple of the guys in the room that were asked me to. They reached out to me and they're like, hey, can you call some shorts for us? Because we don't feel comfortable, doing this on our own. And so, you can kind of just see what's happening here. I even told everybody at 109, I'm looking for a retest of 66.40 for a short, right? And you can even see right here, they missed me. They came down. But, I even told them, like, miss me. They played VWAP instead. Rollover is the worst. So, I'll tell you guys the same thing I tell everybody else. But I kept my orders there. And you know why I kept my orders there? Because look at this balance day. We had just been essentially playing balance all day long. And so I anticipated them to come back up and play this area just because they've been rotating back and forth in such a balanced fashion all day. And lo and behold, they did come up and play 66.40. I front run everything by 5 ticks. And then obviously we came down. I had 2 contracts on and made about $1,100 off of that little short there that they asked me to call out. So that worked out real well. So we had the $500 in the beginning and the $1,100 here for $1,600 plus the puts. Not a bad day today. I was pretty happy with today. So, that was a big one. So let me show you this as well. This was straight from the trade plan too. This was the suppression resistance, right? And let's talk about that real fast before actually I'll pull this up. I'll pull it up after. So we had this 88 call wall, 87.51 tested 1 hour. We had the dailies at 85.50 and 85. This is the big spot that I kept saying that this is the area that's kept the lid on price all night. And actually, just let me show you this right now, because for those of you guys who really need to see the chart to understand, here you go. This is the spot right here. This is the 85.81. This was last night. We came down. They kept the lid on it. They even backed up and back tested this level. And then this is where we opened at down here, right? And so when we came back up, obviously this level is a massive spot. It kept the lid on things all night. And then we had those untested 1 hour levels. And so you can see right here, I even talk about, we have this 1 hour creating a significant cluster. As long as we stay below this area, bears remain in full control. Right. And so we have this 1 hour 66.87. We want to see this play and immediately get back below 81.50 for continuation lower. That is the red level. They didn't just continue a little bit lower, guys. They went from 90 all the way down into the mid 50s. This was a 45-point bangarang. Right. Let me just show you on the 5-minute time frame right here. Look at this thing. Absolutely phenomenal. I was outside with my dog because it was at the end of the day. And I missed the whole damn thing. But lordy, straight from the trade plan. What an amazing short. Now, what are they going to do? They're going to go up? I don't know. Right now, I'm still leaning to the downside. We'll talk about that later. But this was quite an amazing spot here. You can see this 66.11 held perfectly. Couldn't believe it. Held our daily weeklies the whole time. Accumulated, popped, and smacked our resistance. So we'll see what happens later. But as you can see, this was a fantastic spot. Now, let's get into something that I want to talk about. All right. This is cool shit. Right. So I've turned into a big data whore. Rob's turned me into a data whore, big statistics guy. And so we're constantly pulling data. And so I'm always pulling like all the statistics stuff off of SPX now. He's doing ES and NQ and all kinds of other shit. And I'm just sticking with SPX because that's my baby, right? That's what I know. And so I'm basically filtering for all kinds of different conditions I have 30 years worth of data basically, and I have 18 years worth of 1 minute data. And so, to current. And so I'm constantly filtering for a barrage of different indicators, actually 109 different scenarios. And then so every day it kind of spits me out a little something. So as you guys know, last week we had one fire. It was on a Thursday and it said, hey, there's a 94% chance we're going to pop. And we went down the next day. And that was because it was over the 10-day period. And it was the 5-day period and the 10-day period. Well, the same thing is going to apply here. So I got this yesterday, just to let you know, and I posted it in the room and I posted it on Twitter. And, it's another huge indicator that we could potentially go up. Now, the thing is I expected to still be bearish today. Even though this came out yesterday, I expected to sweep the leg and then we'll get a little Momo, right? Well, I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. And the reason I say that is because technically speaking on this rollover contract, they did just sweep this other leg which is so annoying to me. Again, rollover bullshit. But we did play some serious support in SPX and SPY. So it'll be interesting to see where we open up at anyway tomorrow. But I really just wanted to show you this because I thought it was super interesting. This is the post that I put out yesterday that I thought was awesome. But again, this is a high time frame trade, right? So the next day we have an average of 1.4% up. I don't know if they were actually up today or not. Let me look. I doubt it. No, it was down 0.25%. Okay. So not a big deal. But over the next 5 days, look at this, a 92% win rate with an average of 4.5%. And over 10 days, they have a 100% win rate, which is 27 out of 27 times that this has happened, 100%. Now people are like, what, 7%, 8%? Listen, this is historical data. We don't know what's going to happen, right? We just know what the data says. But I try to look at worst case scenario. So here was the worst case scenario, which I thought was interesting, right? The worst 10-day return was 3%, right? Still positive, right? And it's triggered from yesterday's close, right? So the yesterday's close was, I don't know where it was at. I have to pull it up. Hang on, let me look. Yesterday's close was 66.25-ish, right? So they're talking about the worst 10-day scenario is 3% from yesterday's close, which would be a nice healthy pop, which would make sense. That's, we talked yesterday how they always go up, they test the high, they come down, they test the low or sweep liquidity, then they pop all the way back up. We did it last week. We did the same thing. We swept the lows, we went all the way back up, 2.5%. It was exactly what our data gave us conditions for. I mean, it was almost perfect. And then we came back down, and here we are again. Now with this rollover kind of goof up, I don't even know what to say because I'm looking at, here's the weekly. Did we sweep this? Technically, yes, but this is the real sweep I was looking for. What are they going to do in here? I don't know. This big weekly at 67.21 is untested. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Ultimately for me, and I'll just show you kind of what I'm thinking here. Ultimately for me, we need to get back above 81 to continue higher. If we do, this whole area is very much untested. We have this big weekly at 67.21. As you guys know, this held us up yesterday and has held us up multiple times. So this is the area that I would be looking at for a short personally. If we do get above 81, if we get above 81 and hold, we're going to go up there. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So, but with that being said, I thought this was really interesting data because over the course of 5 days and 10 days, this has an insane win rate for us to be, potentially positive, which would make perfect sense. So I just wanted to put this out there so you guys understood exactly how to read this data because, I put it out to my boy last night and he immediately got long, in queue. And he's like, oh, I just got fucked up. Ooh. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, that data you gave me. I'm like, bro, first off, this is based on SPX. SPX only trades during the cash session. Why are you long at 7 o'clock at night in queue on Globex? Because I gave you some fucking data, right? So I don't want to hear anybody's bullshit. This is such a high time frame trade. I'm just putting it out there because I post this stuff. I want you guys to understand how it works, what I'm looking for. I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for historical things. And this is a perfect storm. 13 oversold conditions firing simultaneously. It's only happened 2 times in 30 years. The other time was the COVID crash. Okay? Insane, right? That doesn't mean you immediately get long. That means you look for an area that you think could play into this process. And for me, I'm not long yet. I was looking for a sweep of the lows. So if they take off without me, I miss it, but that's okay. But what I do know is just like last week, if they sweep the lows and we start to reclaim, I'm going to get long for a couple days. It's not real hard, right, to figure out. So I'm just kind of giving you guys exactly what you need to do with this information. It's super valuable. It's just all about how you put it into action. So what's up, Bryce? It's good to see you, bro. Bryce had a great day, by the way. Bryce was an early poster in the scoreboard, put his G ball up like usual. We made some money today, Bryce. Both of us made some money. Ooh, that's what's up. I know Rob probably stacked a little cash too. Rob is pretty good. So anyways, with that being said, guys, I'm going to get off here. My time is up, and I appreciate you guys all showing up for today. I will not be here tomorrow, but you will have a trade plan at 8:30 in the morning. So you guys take care. Tomorrow we'll conquer the markets. And again, don't be upset to take the day off tomorrow. It's the last day of rollover. It's Friday. You don't have to trade, right? There's enough opportunities through the week to make plenty of money, more than most people make all week, especially with these trade plans in 1 or 2 days. So you guys take it easy, touch some grass. It's 70 degrees outside here. So enjoy the day. Cheers.